Welcome to the Creator Podcast, where you're reminded every day that you are a creator. You're created in God's image, and you have the opportunity to create the reality you want. The reality in your life, your health, your wealth, and most importantly, your business. So let's talk about something that's been on my mind lately. I've been going to the gym religiously for about a year, and I've seen some dramatic results. I've dropped 60 pounds. There was a part of me where I just was not satisfied with the way I looked. In fact, my wife wasn't even happy with the way I looked. And that's not to knock her or anything disrespectful. She wasn't. And I can tell that now more than ever because she looks at me differently. And so that was kind of an interesting reality, maybe another topic for another show. But, I've been going to the gym every single day for a year. And there are the same people that show up consistently every single day. And I've developed good relationships with them. And we've had lots of great conversations, and they are dedicated to their health. But what's so interesting, I find, is over the last year, the only person who's changed, body composition-wise, is myself. Now, I'm not saying anything wrong or calling these people fat, and maybe that's not even their goals. I'm not there to assume. But it got me thinking, what's the intention of actually going to the gym every single day? Why is that important to me? And here we are, it's 6:30 in the morning, and we're recording this show. And it really got me thinking, why do these individuals show up and are so dedicated, but they're not seeing the same results? And since I believe that your feedback or the things you see, the things you experience is a reflection of the individual you are, I started getting very curious and asking myself, where am I being consistently average without getting the results I want? And it really started to open up a floodgate of emotions this morning. And that's why I'm sitting here at 6:30 recording this podcast for you. I haven't even showered, sitting here in my workout clothes because it's just fresh on my mind. And you see, I started looking at the areas where I'm not disciplined, or I'm disciplined, very disciplined, but I'm not seeing the results. You see, I was doing the same thing at the gym too. A couple years prior, I'd go to the gym every single day. I was consistent, but I was never getting the results. In fact, I was actually getting fatter. And what it was a simple twist of just my relationship with food. It was small. It was literally taking food and putting it on a scale and measuring it out, and then taking the extra step of logging that food and making sure that I hit certain parameters. Macro counting, in essence. And it blew my mind, the results. In 9 months, I dropped 55 pounds, and now I'm at this pinnacle point where I'm trying to get down to 10% body fat and really look the best I've ever looked in my life. And it was all because of 2 subtle changes that I've been consistently doing. And so as I thought about that, I started thinking, where am I not consistently hitting these small changes in order to get the results that I want? And my mind opened it up to me. It literally brought the awareness from my unconscious straight to the front of my mind, and I started to recognize certain things. You see, I was consistently showing up for a team meeting with my team, but I was never providing them any value or holding them accountable or creating a tracking system in place to make sure we're getting to the area we want in the timelines we want. I wasn't taking the KPIs or the key performance indicators for my business and making sure that I had a daily track of those. In fact, in some cases, I would just say, here's our goal, team, let's go get it, and would never review the goal with them, thus setting them up for mediocre success because there's no accountability or anything there. I didn't ask them to track it like I've tracked my food. Now, some may say, well, that would just be a terrible place to work in. However, it's also a terrible place to get laid off if you're not hitting the numbers, right? And it's also terrible to admit that things are hard and that money isn't being made in the form that you want to sustain the amount of people you have. And so you've got to let them go. But then ultimately, whose fault is that? Is it the employee's fault for not hitting the goal that has never been followed up with them throughout the year? No. Is it the issues with the economy and the market? Probably not either. Actually, it's not at all. So what is it? It's my issue. It's my issue for not being in control of the business and taking control of the things that were important to me. You see, on this podcast, we talk about all the time, you're a creator. You're created in the image of God. Like, okay, well, God doesn't just neglect the things that he created. Does he neglect you? I sure as heck know he doesn't neglect me, and I know he's there. And if he created me and he created you and we're all equal, then he wouldn't neglect you. So why am I neglecting? If I'm on this mission to become a creator, to become like the Most High, why am I neglecting things I'm creating? That really struck an emotional chord with me. And I'm still, once again, like trying to get through that. It cuts deep. It cuts a little bit more than your average feedback, I guess. And so it's got me thinking, like, how do you actually change that? How do you change the way that you count your business macros? How do you figure out how to take this feedback and move forward? And there's a few things that we're doing in our business now, right? Obviously, if we go through this layoff situation, that's unfortunate. I don't think that that's going to be the case. We're going to pull ourselves out of it. But we may find naturally that some of the people that are now getting this new feedback of here's your performance, here's your indicators, we may find that they don't want to be here anymore because it's a different environment and it's changed, and that's an obstacle I've got to jump over. It's an obstacle I got to face. Maybe this isn't the work environment they want anymore because they've been consistent, because I've been consistent at doing the same thing every single day. It's not easy. Now, it's an interesting time in business, and there's a lot going on, especially in the real estate business with the market the way things are. But what's so interesting is I still see people closing business. Maybe it's not as frequent, but I still see people taking market share. I still see people talking about stuff all over my Facebook from my other real estate friends. And yet here I sit going, why are things not happening? And so how do you fix all of this? Like, I've asked that question earlier on this podcast. How do you fix it? And my mind's scrambling right now. I'm going a million miles an hour, so bear with me. But I think that you come back and you fix it by actually implementing a system. And that's something my wife and I have been doing for the last week. We've started with our family system. We found that our family system was incongruent in certain areas. And so what do? We've sat down for an hour every day and just started planning our system, planning our macros. What do we need to do for happiness every single day to keep us going, to keep doing these podcasts, to keep, our family stable? And then what do I need to do in order to, create the business aspect? And that's the next focus. But every day for an hour, we've been sitting down talking and just making a plan and really thinking about it and bringing it to the awareness, because we're going to set this standard in place. And then as that standard set in place, we're building our business around what we want our life to actually be. Because at the end of the day, if your business is running you and you're not running your business, you're not going to be happy anyways, no matter how much money you have. And so what we're doing is we are creating this standard for ourselves that we make sure that these certain things get done every day. And is it easy? No, it's not. I mean, I have to cut out some of the things I love. I love playing basketball every morning at 5:30. But if my wife wants to be happy, she has to get to the gym. And if we want to homeschool our kids, she has to be home by a certain time to get homeschool done during a certain period of napping for another child. And then if we want to add another baby into our life, which we're talking about, then how do I manage a newborn baby and homeschool and this 2-year-old that eventually is going to stop taking naps? And these are things we're trying to plan ahead of, to get ahead of in our life, so that our business and our happiness and our wealth and the things we're going for don't actually take control of us. And we're in control the entire time. Someone that I look up to a lot, he told me that life is about balancing a bunch of plates, spinning plates all the time. And sometimes for a season, you can leave the plate and it will spin. But eventually that plate will stop spinning and you've got to go back and fix it. But he said, what if you could actually create a system around the plate where the plate never stops spinning? And from time to time, just like an oil change in your car, you just go check in on the system. And that's always kind of stuck with me. How do you balance all these plates, keep them all spinning at one time, and yet continue to live a life and spin more plates? For those that know, I've run several businesses. But it's interesting that all the businesses have the same common theme, and that is there's consistency, but there's a lack of results or growth to the growth that I want. And so that's where I've been thinking a lot lately on how to do things differently. And it comes first internally. I talk about this a lot. It's in the individual self first. You've got to self-reflect and come in and say, what am I going to do? What do I want first? And then build your life around that, because you'll never truly be happy serving other people if you don't know how to serve yourself and your needs. Just want to say thank you for listening to the show today. Thank you for being here. And I hope that this is value for you. I hope that this really resonates, because I know I cannot be the only entrepreneurial father trying to make life work and grow an empire and do the things and go where I want to go. If this show has hit an emotional chord, I'd ask you just to share it with a friend. Give me some honest feedback. What can I do better? Just want to say thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a fantastic day.